I went over what's in my bag, and I thought maybe I'd show you guys what's in my disc collection. Over the years of playing tournaments, making videos, doing all kinds of stuff disc golf related, I've accumulated quite the collection of discs, and a lot of them I've sold off over the years, but I do have a relative metric ton in storage here at my house. And if you're tuned in, you see a disc you think is kind of cool, let me know. Maybe I'll do a video on that one if I haven't already. Maybe I'll do another one if I have. So I have a lot of them in these storage boxes actually underneath my entertainment center in my office. I've got them kind of arranged by brand groupings, not very strictly, but this first one is like the Innova and Innova company, children and whatnot. So I guess I'll start off with just the Innova discs themselves. I've got a lot of these that are older, and especially from when I first started playing, but 9-10 years ago, Innova was one of the biggest manufacturers. They still are probably the biggest manufacturer. They were just the easiest to find. So one of my oldest discs I've got is this Pro Dyed Wraith. It's kind of fun. Got some T-Birds, got Glow T-Birds to back up for the one in my bag, Anthony Barella T-Bird 3. And then I've got my first T-Birds, the 150 DX that was the disc I learned how to hyzer flip with, so that's kind of cool. And then for a long time, the only like really overstable fairway driver out there that was readily available was the Firebird. So I threw those for my forehands for years, and I've got a few. I've got a PFN Star one that actually used to belong to Dutch Napier. If you don't know who he is, he's a pro on Team Prodigy. You can see his name right there. Old Run Glow Firebird, Pearly 2017, First Run G-Star. And then this next one is, if you ever hear the term FAF Firebird, this is the run they're talking about. Really opaque, super flat. These were like around 2010 to 2013 you saw these, and like if you hear it, like it sounds different than the later runs because there's no give to that flight plate at all. Got one in Firebird from the Roland Ridge Pro Shop, which was cool. PFN Star that I got when it was marked up like this, but really liked it. And then I got a Jolly Launcher Firebird. It's actually really domey. It's the domiest Firebird I've ever seen, but still nicely overstable. Regular run Firebird there. And then I got one from a tournament at Lexington. I actually bought this from former Innova Pro Ashley Collins, and it's really beat up. It actually used to be kind of bluey teal. It's kind of turned green over the years, but still really nice, flat, overstable, almost FAF, but not quite. And then my main backhand driver for several years was the Innova Ape. So I have a few of those left. I've got a couple of Star Apes and this weird like tiger striped one that I never ended up throwing this one much because it just disappears. And then I've never really bagged Destroyers, but I've kind of accumulated a few. I've got a Cloudland Canyon Champion one, and then I actually use these in videos a lot. I got a lightweight G-Star and a Paul Macbeth 4x Star. Those are a pretty good like comparing a disc to your standard distance driver. That's a good one that I use a lot. Early Run Shrike, use that one in a video as well, and just never parted with it. I've got a few rocks. I've got Reptilian Glow Rock actually. They call that one the bigger bird with the old circle stamp, but it's pretty cool. Used that one in my glow bag for a long time, but it's pretty flippy now. This is actually my daughter's. It's a Metal Flake Rock 3, pretty nice. And then I have a Paul Macbeth 2x Rock 3. I actually used to have all the Paul Macbeth Rock 3s, 1, 2, 3, 4, but that's the only one I ended up keeping. When he left Innova, I sold off a lot of the other ones. Then I've got a couple of my daughter's other discs. She has a DX Shark, Stingray, and Leopard that She doesn't play much really, but I keep those around in case she ever decides to come back to it. And then the last couple Innova discs, oh, I have one more rock. I got a USDGC Champ rock my wife got me for our anniversary a few years ago, 2017 I think. And then we got the Marmoset Pole Cat. Everyone's got to have one pole cat, right? I actually have a few, but I got that guy, and then I've got my daughter's 151 as well. So you gotta have those around. Trevor from Foundation. I would have sent you this one if you would have agreed to put with polecats, but said no. And then also by Innova, I've got my Infinite disc in here, and I was on Team Infinite in 2019, so I've still got a decent amount of the discs that I got when I was on their team. They were nice to work with overall. I've got my Pharaoh. It's got this weird fading on top. I had 3 of these, and they all have that same like stripe with the thing. I guess maybe they were all in the sun face up with a sticker on them or something. Got a Ruin with the penguin stamp. First run raw, which is a lot like a rock. A couple of Emperors, actually kind of fitting for today, May the 4th, so that's kind of fun. Actually, I drew that one on there, but first run Scepter. I actually tried to do a giveaway with this one, but it was contingent on getting 100 comments on the video, and I think it still only has like 40 comments, even though that was over a year ago. And then the Infinite disc that I threw the most was the Slab, and I've got 4 of those. I've got the Metal Flake and the clear one here that I threw when I was on the team. And then I've got 2 of the Patrick Brown Gremlin slabs as well. Going on to my Discmania discs, these are mainly Discmania originals, but not all of them. Got a Glow DDX, the Alien Stamp, Lightweight SPD. Heard they're coming out with a new PD, so maybe I'll do a video with these. Got a Dark Maul 2 with the Derpy Bear, so maybe I'll compare the new PD to that PD. And I've also got the Spirit Fox and the Tactic from the newer disc. So that's kind of cool. And I'll move over here to my, this is like my trilogy box. It's a little bit mixed up as far as the brands go. Let me see what all we got in here. Start out with DD. Got his DDO, Glass Blown Open rather, not DDO, Sheriff. I got it as a water disc and threw it on a bunch of water holes and never managed to lose it, so still have it. And then I've been throwing the Justice for a while, so I've got a few of those. I've got early run Justice that I threw for a long time, the beef stamp Justice with the little cow there that I threw a lot last year and the year before. Glow one that I actually stopped throwing because it doesn't glow anymore, at least not for any length of time. And then I've got the Pikachu Justice that just got so beat up last year it doesn't fly like a Justice anymore. It almost flies like a Bard or a beefy EMAC Truth. And I've got a Fluid Enforcer. It's kind of cool. It's the Sparkle one. These are really overstable. It's one of the longest discs I've ever thrown. Then I've got my DD Squad Stamped Sergeant. I haven't thrown this one yet, but it was kind of cool that they sent me that one. If you haven't heard of the DD Squad, you can sign up for that online and do challenges to get higher up. Not currently doing it because of my Lone Star affiliation, but it's still a very cool thing. Then I've got a few Latitude discs as well. Got a Stiletto. That's an early run Opto Stiletto. Really beefy, really nice disc there. And then I've got Trident. They don't make this one regularly anymore, but I really like that. That was like my Justice before the Justice came out, but it's a little quicker, not quite as overstable. And then we got a whole lot of West Side. So I've got my Harps, VIP Harp, Copper, Tournament Harp, BT Hard, BT Medium, BT Soft. Threw Harps for a long time, like them a lot. Don't have one in the bag right now, but they're a disc that I used a ton for a long time. Got a Swan Reborn there. My daughter's putter, actually. I don't know how you can see that stamp, but nice putter. I like the Swan 2 a little better. It's a little shallower, but that one's very cool. And then I've got my Bards. The Bard was my main mid-range for a long time, and I'm not throwing it right now as I'm throwing the Lone Star MIDI, which I really, really like, but I threw these guys in my main mid-range for years. Got a couple of orange VIPs, this like hybrid blend that's in between Tournament and VIP. Cool rainbow stamp one. This actually kind of ugly purple and red one was my main one for a long time. And then I've got some of the Origio ones that they have the finish stamp on there. They did those originally for like mass merchant stores in Finland. I've got 2 of those, and I've got the burst one. They actually start out really overstable, and you have to beat them in to be able to fly like the Bard typically flies, but kind of like that about them. Got the Gatekeeper from the Trilogy Challenge. A couple of warships. I don't actually throw the warship, but I did for a little while as my like dead straight mid-range. But I keep them around because they're great for new players. You don't have to be able to throw hard to get them up to speed and flying straight. So whenever I have new players playing with me, I usually hand them a warship and a putter, and they're pretty happy. And then I got some kings. Got the Tilted Sword King there. That one's actually worth a little bit. Tie-dye King, another Tilted Sword, and Tournament stamp one there. Got the Nico Ati, the Tournament X Ati, very cool. And I've got the original stamp Ati as well. I used to have a bunch of these guys. It's my Firebird replacement when I tried to go all West Side in 2017. But those are the only ones I've got left. Now I've got my Stags. I've got misprint recycled Stag that actually I don't throw ever because it's so hard to find. It's the Color of a Shadow. Beat in VIP, and then I got one of the Chameleon, really pretty ones. You see the light there, it almost turns pinkish in certain angles. Really beautiful Stag there. Got one of my backup Warhorses in here. And a whole bunch of Giants. Threw Giants as my only backhand driver for a while. Got some fluid ones. VIP Giant. Really flippy Sparkle Giant. If you don't know about the fluid plastic, that was a really gummy premium plastic. There's nothing quite like it on the market now. I'd say the Bravo from Lone Star is close, but it's like a really gummy champion style plastic. Feels really cool. I've got this lightweight Air Giant that is only 155, but it goes like a scalded dog. You don't have to throw it that hard, it just takes off. I've thrown that one over 500 a couple times. And then I've got a couple adders. I've got the first run VIP Sparkle adder. I've got the Nico TPX adder as well. These are really crazy because they have a really weird profile. It's flat on the edge and has that weird dome in the middle, but it makes it really overstable and reliable, so that's very cool. And I'll move this over a little bit so I can get to my first kind of miscellaneous box. This one has a ton of different companies because I don't have as much of any other company as I do of the Innova and Trilogy ones. When I was first starting to get kind of good, I was affiliated, not sponsored by, but like affiliated with Yukon Disc Golf. So I've got a bunch of their discs. I've got the View, a couple Kui, really nice mid-range if you haven't thrown these. The Luan, and that's actually their Phoenix Star plastic, which is actually pretty close to Elasto as well, so that's pretty fun. Got this cool Infinite Chameleon stamp on the Foo. And it's a weird little part of disc golf history. So Johnny McRae was with Gateway for a long time, and then when he went on his It's About Time tour before he was with Latitude, he was briefly sponsored by Salient Disc Golf, and they did a signature disc called the Rain for Johnny McRae. I've got a couple of these. It's kind of a cool piece of disc golf history. And it's actually the Yukon die mold, which is still available, but they did flat topped versions that were, I think they were all purple for Johnny, so that was pretty cool. Then I've got their weird twin swords, which is their attempt at an overmold. It's actually like a very meh disc, but it's a neat looking overmold. And then got a couple of their hammer, the Chui putter. It's weird, it's got this little groove where it makes like a pseudo thumb track, so that's kind of fun. And that's the Infinite Disc Warrior stamp on there. It's actually a pretty good putter if you want something that's like not as overstable as a Rhino, but got some bite and really shallow. And I've got a couple of the Yao. I got my first ace with a Yao, so I like these guys. It's kind of like a Domi Wasp or something like that. And then I've got actually my favorite disc from Yukon is the Crossbow. If you haven't thrown one of these, it's like a Gator or Justice on steroids. They're super flat. This one's 160 and it's still more overstable than any Justice I've ever thrown, so that's kind of fun. If you guys are just tuning in, want to jump in the chat, feel free. If you see any discs you'd let me do a video about, just leave it in the comments. Be happy to do one if I haven't already. Now, I've got a couple funky brands here that are not as common. I've got a couple from Launch Disc Golf. I've got the Cypher, which is their like Eagle X style mid-range, and then the Codex, which is, or not mid-range, that's a fairway driver. That's the mid-range. It's like kind of like a barred with no bead, so pretty nice there. They're from the UK. It's the only existing disc manufacturer in the UK that I know of. And then I've got this funky one from Viking called the Barbarian. That's their like T-Bird type driver, and it actually feels identical to the Yukon Fu. The profile, actually, we can look at them against each other, is almost exactly the same. But this one's got something cool. It's called the Fire Line, and it's got a light built in the back there. So if you push it, I think the battery might be dead on this one, but if you push it on the skull there, it would light up and you could use it for glow. So that was a cool idea that I haven't seen much. Just saw a comment pop up. Oh, I don't have an Epic currently. I actually used to have a couple, and the last one I had, I threw a long tomahawk into a tree and it dented so bad that I just got rid of it really cheap. I wish I still had one, but they're definitely a very cool disc, and I wish I'd hung on to that one just to show the carnage, really. I could throw on those tomahawk pretty good, but I don't really throw overhands that much anymore. Now move on to my Discraft discs. Actually, I'm not a big time Discraft thrower. They weren't a big deal when I was first starting out, and got a few interesting ones though. I got a first run Raptor that I've only thrown actually for my best controlled driver video, but it's really nice. It's like a less stable Firebird. And I've got a double stamp of the Nate Sexton Force, that the Sports Center Force. It's a bottom stamp that they double stamped, and it's kind of cool. It was the first shot that I was aware of on Sports Center, which is kind of a neat little piece of history. And a very nice friend of mine gifted me with a couple of the Foundation Glow Nuke SS's. And then in the Glow League they playing, we ended up playing all short tees all winter, so I never got the chance to throw them. So it's very nice of him, but ended up not being able to use them too much. Got the Proto Onyx Etowah Stamped Zone. And the same friend actually gave me the Get Freaky Zone, so I actually have the OG Get Freaky, boring stamp, but still very, very cool and very nice of him to give me one of those before they were even a big deal. I don't know what those go for these days, but probably a little bit. And then I've got this cool Eastbound and Down, which is an Atlanta Tournament Series Fierce. It's got a little Kenny Powers stamp there. That's kind of fun. And then that brings us to my MVP and Axiom disc. I've got a decent selection of these guys. Got an Energy because it's on one of the beefiest discs ever, and if you watched the channel before, you know I like overstable stuff. Got this really cool Mayhem with like a stained glass tree stamp. Haven't actually thrown that one yet. I found it played again really cheap and couldn't pass it up. Circuit Stamp, Plasma, Octane. I've got a couple of phases. If you like MVP and you like really overstable drivers, this is like 11-ish speed, like a Photon, but way beefy. Talking like End of a Monster type beefy. Then I've got a couple of my backup flares in here. I've got the ones that are hard to see. I've got a gray one and this really beautiful one that turns into camo whenever it hits the ground. And then I've got motion, a couple of fireballs, a plasma, and a neutron. A couple of volts. I got a fission and a brand new neutron. One thing that's actually kind of interesting, the old volts have like a rounded edge where the flight plate hits the rim, and the new ones don't have that. It's like a sharp edge now. So I wonder if they have changed the core to accommodate the new Terra, potentially. Got a Clash. I always plan to do some cool art on that one, but never got around to it. Now that they're out of production, I don't know that I'll put anything on it. A couple of pyros. Got a regular Prism Pyro, and then I've got the Prism Plasma. Those are both really fun. And Deflector, Neutron Deflector, one of my favorite overstable mid-ranges. Overstable mid-ranges and fairway drivers are kind of like my disc addiction, and looking through here you'll probably see them over and over from every brand. Got a Matrix that I got from the Gyropalooza box. And then for a while I was putting with atoms, and I actually still like them. It's like a less stable Envy. And when I was working with the guys at Reptilian Disc Golf, they did a couple of Reptilian eye-stamped atoms for me, so that was very cool of them to do. Still pretty tight with those guys. Hope Jamie and Josh are doing awesome. And then I've got a blank Nomad that I used for my Nomad versus Envy video. So that's my MVP stuff for the most part. I've got one more box that's kind of miscellaneous stuff. A lot of things that I've done videos with. I've got my Galaxy Meteorite, which is a disc that no one has heard of or thrown, but it actually was pretty good from the Infinite Budget box I did a review on. And I've got a Legacy Vengeance from another Infinite Mystery box that I literally just keep because it's the only disc from Legacy I've currently got. I got a Joker Eye from Pro Discus. They're really nice approach disc. Got my Elevation Binks. If you haven't seen that video, I thought it was pretty funny. Fun disc to throw around. And then I've got the rubber disc from Divergent, the Alpass and the Golem. Really liked the Golem. The Alpass is a little flippy for me, but it actually has become a good catch disc. I like throwing that one around the yard with my kid, and it's pretty easy to catch. And from Estonia, I've got the Destroyer Skylark. These smell like silly putty if you ever get one of their discs. It's a really unusual thing, but they've got the cool like RAF looking stamps that tell you about the flight. Then I've got the second run Castplast Rask, which is still pretty overstable. And a couple from Lightning. I've got the U2, which is the approach disc. This is actually the disc I learned to hyzer flip with. It's like 160. Really easy to throw, and it was the first one I really was able to capture that flight, so I kept that one. And I've got their weird little D1 beaded driver, which is just kind of funky and strange, but I thought worth keeping just for the sheer oddity of it. And from down under, we've got a IPM disc. We've got a couple Katuku mid-ranges in the different plastics. Their Pika Pika, nice fairway driver, a little understable, and then the Kahoo. Got the Kahoo in various plastics and weights. Really nice driver. I did a video on that one a while ago, and I actually bagged it for a lot of the last couple of years. And I've got some Vibram. They're back in the disc market, and I'm dipping their toe back in, but I've got an Ascent, a Craig, this beautiful Obex that I actually got this one, the Notch, and this Solus when they were going away from disc golf in the first place. and there was an error on their site doing double promos, so I got them for like $4. Then I've got another Solus that is just the regular X-Link medium. Some more of my funky stuff. I got a couple from Daredevil. I got the Ogopogo and the Sabretooth. Really like both of those guys. Sabretooth is actually a really good overstable fairway driver, and then the Ogopogo is the floppiest overstable disc that I've seen. I thought about doing a video with it in the Binks, but they fly so different it's kind of hard to compare. Got an AGL Baobab. First run scale with the Lotus stamp. Dom Clark stamp. That's kind of cool. First run of the hand-drawn Stegos. This one's actually so beat in that it got oddly domey, so it doesn't fly overstable really. It's like kind of like a Berg now. I've got a couple more Stegos in here too. First run Stego with the Aravarus stamp, and then new tar pit one that I haven't really thrown yet. You got an old Gateway Spirit. If you like overstable discs, this is a kind of fun relic. Really, really beefy. Back in the days where beefy drivers were not really a thing. Got a few Wizards. Got the Winter Wizards one from last year. Pandemonium Ring of Pandas. Shout out to their team. And then an old RFF Wizard. Everybody was putting with Wizards when I first started, but you don't really see them much anymore. I've got some of my reptilian discs here. I've got the Boa, one of the cooler stamps out there. It looks like Quetzalcoatl, and you don't see this guy on the course ever anymore. I have 3 blank Tyrants. It's one of my favorite discs. It's like a beefy T-bird, but you can't really find them. They say another run is coming, so hopefully it is. A couple Gila in the Fossil and the Amber Plastic. And then I've got an RDG Serpent, which is the same top as the scale, but it's the bottom of the Magic instead of the Wizard. Got an EV7 Drew Gibson. That's not the 5, that's the first one, the Penrose. And then I got a whole bunch of Prodigy. Got a X1, so don't throw down that much because it's really expensive these days. A couple of D2s. Keep these around to do videos with. Same reason I do the Destroyer. People like to see that comparison, and the 500 with the team stamp's pretty cool. Got a H3 V2 with the Star Series stamp. A couple of backup A2s. A1 with the hand-drawn steak sauce stamp. Old M2 that someone gave my daughter. A couple of M1s from my bag last year. Got P Model US that's actually glow, so that's kind of fun. Manabu Kajiyama, Japanese champ 12-time P2. That one's kind of fun. And then Ace Line P Model S. So that's all the ones from my bins here, but I actually do have two more storage bags around here. I'll pull out real quick before we wrap up. And in this little Prodigy practice bag, I've actually got all discs that I've acquired this year, so that's kind of interesting. I've got, of course, my Lone Star discs here. They sent me a lot of really cool stuff, and some of the ones that aren't in my bag I keep here. Got Proto Jackrabbit, several penny putters. The Harpoon, just did a video on the Harpoon, so you guys check that out if you haven't already. Got a Mockingbird, I also did a video on that one. Really nice if you're a newer player. That's a great backhand driver for a newer player. Got the new Cloud Breaker. I haven't even taken it out of the bag yet. Still kind of trying to decide if I'm going to do a video with that one or not. And then if I do a video on it, I'll probably do a comparison to the Enigma since their numbers are so close. And found this old miscellane at used this shop. I thought it might be worth doing a video on eventually. It's just so weird with this little dimples. I don't know if you guys can see the texture there, but it's got these tiny hexagons that make it near impossible to clean. Got a new C-Line FD, the Proto Glow, the Blue Glow, what is this thing? Inertia. Got a Terra, so maybe a video on this one coming soon. Uplink. And then I've got several Envies, old Neutron Soft one, and then a couple of newer ones that I've gotten at various tournaments this year. Have you gotten to throw that Cloudbreaker very much, Jason? I haven't thrown it yet and have no idea what to expect exactly. I haven't thrown the new runs. The old ones I had were basically like a Destroyer, but I haven't really tried. That Calvin Destroyer is nice. I've thrown a couple of them that a friend of mine had, and they were really beefy and pretty darn cool. Price tag's a little crazy. But I got, so the ones in the rest of here are all disc I got from players packs and tournament winnings and stuff this year. So actually that starts with this Envy. Then I got this Big Z Nuke, the new Reverb Kevin Jones overstable driver, the first run D2 Pro H4, the brand new FX3. That one's pretty cool. I haven't thrown it yet, but it feels really nice. Got this new Glassy Justice that people are speculating that Latitude has started using the same type of plastic that Discmania has, their Italian blend. If you take a look at those two, they look eerily similar. So I think there may be something to that, or they've figured out a way to do more clarity in the disc. That'd be pretty interesting if it was true. M2. Another piece of the Star Series Star M3. Several A2s that I got for backup, so those are fun. This was actually one of my favorite stamps. It's got the Made in Georgia stamp with the snake and the thrasher. And I actually wiped the stamp on that one, thought it looked cool. I've got this cool Glow A3. It's really domey, really overstable and domey, so that one's kind of fun. That probably will make the Glow bag next year. A couple of PA1s. A lot of Prodigy discs in here. I played in the Prodigy Star Series. That was a 5-event series. I ended up getting second in, and for getting second, I got, I got it upstairs. Cool, like, space medallion thing. And several PA3s. And if you played in all the parts of the Star Series, you got this guy here. Yeah, I actually don't have a link on Lone Star yet. I'll have to ask them for that. With almost everyone else I've worked with, that they do have something like that. But the Lone Star team's so new, I don't know if they have it fleshed out. But I'll ask the team manager and see if they can set that up, because a lot of people have started throwing their discs. So that's actually all the discs I've got in. Oh wait, one more bag that I forgot about. It's actually behind the chair over here. It's actually my old Salient Ember bag from when I was on the Salient squad years ago. That's the squad stamp stash mini that we all had. It's kind of an interesting scenario because they had a thing kind of like what Doomsday has now, where you can buy into the team and then you got your own link and discount code and everything, but you had to buy stuff first. But they actually let me in for free because they liked some of the videos I made for their stuff. So this is all Salient and Yukon stuff that is what I was throwing back then. and just kind of dropped it in the bag here, and haven't done a whole lot with it since. I got my Cam Todd Touch Putters. He was their first sponsored pro before Johnny McRae even, and he helped them design this putter. It's kind of like a Challenger, but it has like a weird micro bead under, like in between the flight plate and the bead there. I don't know if you can see that. And this disc is the hardest putter plastic I have ever felt. It's like KC Pro that has been left out in the sun for years. Like, it's not brittle, but it is so hard. And then their gummy liquid plastic. Then I actually have to keep this one in the putter pocket because it won't fit in the regular bag. It's the Salient Prometheus, this giant sized control driver that's actually max rim size. Let me find a driver to compare it to. Like, here's an adder, you know, normal size, like it's the same diameter as a Destroyer and everything. Look how much bigger that is. It's giant. And really the only thing it was very good for was like power rollers, because the diameter is a little bigger. You could just eat up ground on a forehand roller line. So that was pretty cool. But it was designed to be like this far-flying control driver, like the mythical longer T-Bird, which kind of already existed in like the Wraith, but don't tell them that. And it just didn't really take off. I got a few of my distance drivers. I've got the another one of the Johnny McRae Reigns that I showed earlier. That's a fun little relic from when he was getting back on tour after several year layoff. And I've got a couple of their backdraft, and actually this liquid plastic is some of the best feeling out there ever. But of course it's been lost to time since Salient hasn't made a disc in years, and they were actually a terrible company. Worst customer service that anyone has ever heard of. The owner would get on online forums and just blast everyone. But they did one thing right, and that is this disc. The backdraft was a great Destroyer clone, very glidey, and the liquid plastic felt like nothing else before or since, really. Like, it's grippy, but soft, firm, but not, I don't know. It just feels perfect. And that's the liquid metal. It feels almost as good and has that crazy, like, iron shark stamp, which is pretty cool. We got my Yukon June, which was also the Salient Napalm. They did this weird thing where they took a bunch of the Yukon molds, gave it a weird name, and then rebranded it. So like, they had the Salient Cell. That's not really a unique disc. It's just a Yow with this weird alien stamp on it. I got my first ace with this one, so I like it. It flies good, but that was a weird marketing thing they tried. They even have the Yukon stickers on the back, so not really fooling anybody there. One of their discs that was original was the Vane, which is this weird, like, pseudo beaded, super domey fairway driver. It's kind of like a Banshee with a micro bead and a giant dome. So limited market for these, but I do have one friend who is a tall guy with big hands, and he really liked these, so I got him several. I've got the Yukon Gui here, which is actually the disc I took with me when I went to India, because it was like, it flies like an NB kind of. You know, it takes a lot of power, forehand or backhand, doesn't turn a lot. Figured if you can only have one disc, that's a decent one to have. And then the last one I'll show off is my Lockjaw, which is a lid kind of like a, you know, a pole cat, but it's got the rings on top. You can still buy this as the Yukon Claws. And this one is in the Dragon line, so it's massively domey and does not fly like you would expect it to at all, but it's still kind of fun. So, you know, I've got more disc, but we've been going for 40 minutes. Thanks to you guys who tuned in. Thanks for Jason for asking some questions. Really appreciate that. And then maybe I'll go over some more of my stash another time. This is just the ones that are kind of in storage, as it were. If you saw anything you liked, would want me to do a video on, or do another video on if I have already, drop it in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and I gotta get back to work. See you.